Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm always slightly afraid to present about what the next big thing is because oftentimes we don't know what that is until it arrives. There are many people in the room that will, of course, recognize Friends Reunited, and that was the next big thing one day. Of course, Blockbuster used to be the next big thing before filming and streaming arrived, and of course, now I'm here very nervously talking about what the career paths are of tomorrow. So bear with me while we give a slight insight into some of the things that we see across the education sector, but most importantly for me, in the world of technology and where we see investments that drives the career paths of tomorrow. And certainly, one of the big facts that is out there through a recent survey that McKinsey did is that, in terms of the British economy, there'll be a 22% boost by 2030 as a result of the direct introduction of augmented reality and artificial intelligence. And that will drive career paths, and that requires the ability to be able to educate children and our workforce of tomorrow around exactly how to get involved in those careers. Safeguarding is of course so important in the education sector. We are extremely aware and considerate of that, but also GDPR is a big part of safeguarding your data and everyone else's data in this world. And of course, the world of the security analyst is something that is fast approaching reality. It's very much here today, and it's one of the most recruited jobs on LinkedIn in the last 12 months, according to their own research. And most importantly, of course, where many of us, including myself, I describe my job as sending emails for a living. It's what I do mostly. Then, of course, human interaction is important. It will remain very important. And, of course, that will be a big driver in the world of business and at any career path around how we work together, because we are still humans at the end of the day, and we often input that data into a PC. So career paths are not just about data, security, coding, etc. It is also about how we work together in the future. And life is not just about ICT. The tech sector is not the only sector that we will survive in the coming years. Of course, importantly, technology and careers forge a lot of what happens in the retail sector. Pharmaceuticals and pharma tech, with the introduction of things like microfluidics, is a very important area in the world of science. And of course, education and the ability to teach technology in the education sector is a really, really challenging thing at the moment, because all of you as educationalists must be bombarded with the next big thing that, of course, is around the corner that you must teach children. So I'm not here to lecture you on what the next big thing is, but a couple of points of view in terms of my opinion and my company's opinion at Hewlett-Packard. The maker market has grown 22 times since 2005. It is such a big area now. If you look at a website like Etsy.com, if you look at the amount of trade going through Etsy.com, it's now in the billions of pounds rather than the tens of millions of pounds that it was 6-7 years ago. And that is as a direct result of people learning skills, producing at home and selling online. So the maker market and the introduction of technology and e-commerce is important for students to learn, because of course that might be a direction that they take in the future. 3D printing, which we've all heard about, is another area where design forms a fundamental part of that process, and it's important that we give you the support as schools and colleges as to how you can introduce that into your syllabus. These are the top 15 emerging career paths in the UK over the last 12 months. Almost all of that is directly related to technology careers. The only career paths that are not directly related to technology are, of course, sales and marketing, because, of course, we've all got to flog the technology in order to make sure that people are in those career paths. But outside of that, that is exactly the path that we believe not just the UK will take, but on a global level, we see those career paths as the legitimate career paths and the ones that will grow extensively over the coming months and years to come. So question to you, I'm sure I know the answer, is can you take any more advice possibly about the world of technology? This is my 17th year here at the BETT show. My first ever next big thing around technology was the digital projector, and look how we've moved on since then. I'm not here to give you advice. I'll introduce Paul in a moment that will talk a little bit about how you can work more closely with the technology companies. We have a program called HP for Education. It's a non-for-profit service that we deliver to every school and college in the country. In the last 3 years, we've invested over £4 million back into new technology for schools and colleges. And if you are lucky enough to have bumped into a big double-decker bus in the past day or so, then this double-decker bus is going to visit 25,000 students, those people looking to retrain around the country, and all of the skills that will be driving those career paths of tomorrow is available to experience in a playground, in a car park, in a local library, in a school or college around the country. So all you need to do is get on and book it. We'll be there to visit you with Microsoft, with Intel, with Adobe, with Discovery Education, with Lego, to teach some of those skills around AI, coding, robotics, and 3D design, because we know that you need help in order to give people an insight into some of those career paths, and we're more than happy to do that alongside yourself and your school. They're all approved in terms of safeguarding and, of course, insurance, which is very important, but that's just a little thing that we can do as an industry to give back to you. Now, most importantly, I'd like to introduce Paul, who works at Ribblesdale. Paul is a very good example of an ambassador of the technology sector and how actually working with those technology providers as a school can deliver better outcomes for students and, of course, staff alike. So I'd like to pass over to Paul, who will talk a little bit about that now.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Neil. So obviously Neil's given you the background from the tech perspective. I'll now give you the real view from a day in, day out in a large 11 to 16 secondary school. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm from the north, which is not such a scary place. Although I'd like to correct Neil, it is Lancashire, so the wrong side of the Pennines, but we'll sort that later. So that's me. If anyone wants to ping out and reach out to me, that's my Twitter handle, feel free. If you don't, then feel free not to. So Ribblesdale High School, as I said, a large 11-16 secondary school up in Lancashire. We don't do anything differently. We don't have any more money for the use of tech. We just made a strategic decision a number of years ago that we were going to embrace technology. We knew that we would have to do that and that we wanted to be at the front of it. So, leading on to what Neil's been saying about future jobs and sort of roles, what does the modern student look like? Well, they're always mobile and always moving. They collaborate early and often. They're always on social media. They're always doing that, so they're used to it. They are totally digital natives, absolutely. Social networking and that style of communication plays a big part. Whether we agree or disagree with it, and it does cause me a lot of headaches at school in my day job as a deputy head, that is what they want to do. So why are we ignoring it? We can't ignore it. We've got to embrace it and educate them about how to work in that way. And ultimately, they do want that anytime, anywhere learning. They want to be sat on the bus on the way home, being able to access something. We've got to put it in front of them, normally on a device that a few of you are holding up now to film this. They want it on the left or the right hand on whatever device it is. So we've got to be able to, as educators, we've got to be able to facilitate that. If we ignore it at our peril. So what does a modern school look like? Well, that's one of our older classrooms a year or two ago. Delivery from the front. Teacher-led and controlled. Teamwork and collaboration does happen, but it happens within those four walls. When they leave that room for that hour, after that hour, it doesn't tend to happen. Unless you've got really conscientious students that might get together and work together on a project, it physically doesn't happen. And technology generally is used as an add-on, not an integral woven in piece and another tool in the toolkit of a teacher. That's what's been around for 150 years plus. The model's not changed. But hold on a minute, Neil's told us that everything's changing and that the roles of tomorrow aren't existing anymore, yet we insist as educators to push on regardless because we know best. Or do we? So, the first thing you're going to have to look at as a school is how you are going to change. Digital transformation is absolutely key. Hands up in the room, who has a school improvement plan or a strategy? Come on, don't be shy. I'm looking at all the hands going up, lovely. Who has one of these, a digital transformation strategy? Who knows what they're doing with tech for the next 5 years? Thank you, we got one over there, well done. I'll give you your prize later. Why not? That says to me that we are ignoring it. We do not want to deal with it. As leadership, we've got to have the vision. What is it going to look like for your students in X number of years? I don't know, because I don't work at your school or college or university. But I know what it looks like at Ribblesdale. What are you going to do about your staff? Staff are the most difficult thing to sort out. And I apologise, teachers in the room. You're going to have to get your staff on board. A lot of them are going to have to get the training to be able to confidently move forward with technology. We're not asking them to reinvent the wheel. We're asking them to use it as another tool in their arsenal to support the learners going forward into the roles that they're going to move into. Teaching and learning. Well, there's a bit of a sort of a polar opposite going on here. The exam boards and the assessment system is set up paper-based terminal examination, yet we all know in the world of work that it's ongoing all the way through. It's continuous. So we need to have both. We need a hybrid. We cannot throw the old stuff out and just put technology in. It doesn't work. It's got to be in to enhance what you already do. A blended approach to using the technology. And absolutely, the technology has got to deliver that anytime, anywhere. Not only for the students, but for the staff. If you want your staff to become competent and be able to support the young people, then you've got to give them access to that technology so it fits in with their work-life balance. What does it mean? And I know a few of you are smirking now about work-life balance for teachers, but ultimately, let them work when they want to be working. So the future-ready skills. We are all absolutely tuned in to knowing that our students need to leave us with a high competence around English, literacy, maths and numeracy. Again, I hate to say it, but that's not changed for 150 years. Why are we not equipping them with the skills to move forward in a digitally on world, whether that's at home or in the workplace, as Neil said? We need to give them the skills to be able to adapt to the jobs that don't exist yet, because they don't exist. If you look back over the past 10, 15 years, the number of jobs that have come into the workplace that didn't exist. So we need to give them the skills that they can use moving forward. At Ribblesdale, we're trying to give them the skills as well, using technology that is demanded by the employers. We want to give them the edge. If they walk in for a job interview, then we need to make sure that they're the person who's going to get it. They've got those skills. They can add value. Because if we don't do that, we're doing them a disservice. And ultimately, we've got to recognise that with formal qualifications. And we do it via some that Microsoft offer, the Microsoft Office Specialist, the MTA, and obviously there's one for educators on the right, the Microsoft Certified Educator. These are formally recognised worldwide qualifications. Our students leave at least one of those from Ribblesdale. We need to make sure that they can stand out and they have those skills to support their journeys, whatever that may look like, because we don't know what that will look like. Having said that, it's a brave move to try and fit this into the curriculum. How does it work in the curriculum? How do we provide that? What are the expectations around it? Again, I don't know your schools, colleges, universities, but you've got to have some open and honest discussions. It's back to that vision. What does it look like? At Ribblesdale, we set out 7 years ago with something called Ribblesdale 2020. I'm now stood here in 2020. Did we achieve what we wanted? Well, probably just about, but we're still moving. We're still moving forward with what we want to do. What we've done at Ribblesdale is supported this with one-to-one devices. And the big question is, why bother? What is the point of one-to-one devices? It's just a flash in the pan, and it doesn't really add any value. Well, it's going to promote that communication and that collaboration. You are not constrained within the four walls of a school or a classroom. When the students at Ribblesdale go home, they're communicating and collaborating on things like Teams and OneNote. It happens. That's how they work. Go back, look at how much they use social media. If someone pings them a question, they answer it there and then. I'm not saying that we don't need to train them how to deal with technology and use it effectively so it doesn't impact them, but we also need to give them that opportunity. Digital literacy, I've already touched on that, but actually they need those skills they're going to use in the future. And for us, we thought that Office 365 and Windows 10 sat at the heart of that. What do we all use in the workplace? What do our friends and relatives use in the workplace? Probably one or both of those. It's about meeting the needs, and I've got learners up there, but they are our customers. Our core business is teaching and learning. How do students learn? How does my 10-year-old son learn how to drive Minecraft? Well, he certainly doesn't ask me because I can do a bit of it, but when he's showing me that he's made a printer in Minecraft and I've asked him how he's done it, he's been online to find out. It's not through me. They don't ask people, they go and find that answer out on their own. So we need to give them the skills. What students like is how to find reliable sources of information to help them move forward. That's as big a skill as anything. Putting something into a search engine and pressing return, we know doesn't always give you the quality that you want. We also can use a technology to support those with additional needs. So using things like learning tools, again, helps them have that opportunity. It's all about, though, giving them the skills for the future. They are always going to be using technology, whether it's in one of those 15 roles that Neil outlined as the top 15 jobs, or whether it's another role. They are always going to need those. It's not going to go amiss. Whatever level they're going to work at, whether it's higher skilled or lower skilled, they are always going to use technology. So we need to offer that to them, because if we don't, we're doing them a disservice. Why not? Why not do it? It's not a quick fix. I hate education for this. They like quick fixes, and they like to get them in within a year to 2 years. It's not a quick fix. 7 years at Ribblesdale, we're nowhere near there yet. Please don't throw out what already works. Ultimately, we're judged against outcomes and we've got to deliver that. But it's about producing a rounded student at the end. And it's not about behaviour management. However, if used correctly, it can have a massive impact. You look at Minecraft EE and the skills around that, the boys love it. There's a place for it. It's not just playing, they're learning through that play. Why not embrace it? There are lots of stakeholders. You've got to have the senior leadership team or the decision makers behind it. If you don't have all of those behind it, you may as well forget it. Senior leadership teams are an absolute nightmare, and a lot of them are set in the ways. So you've got to sort it out. You've got to make sure that you're all committed. The governors are there to support and provide that reflective mirror. But at the same time, they want to maintain the outcomes that we're judged against. They want to maintain the quality of the education. Teachers, you don't get them on board with this journey, you may as well go home, because they are, or can be if you don't sort it out, one of the biggest barriers and challenges. The parents, if you're going to do it, you are breaking the mold, particularly doing one-to-one. You need to communicate early, let them know why you're doing it. You are going to be challenged over it. Not everyone will agree. 5 years after starting one-to-one, I think most of our parents agree it is a good thing and they can see the benefit. They didn't initially. This normally scares educators. Partnership. We are not experts in the tech space as educators. We are not. And it is scary to let go of some of the control and get the people in that we don't 100% trust to help us move forward with our digital transformation and get those skills for our youngsters. So we work with HP and companies like Freedom Tech, and for our device, it's on there, the HP ProBook. But the thing about it is that there's things like finance, which for some people, a lot of schools is a nightmare. It's got to be cost neutral. If you're going to do one-to-one, it's got to work. It's got to be fully inclusive. And it's got to be a partner who can meet the demands of education. Do they know what education's about? Yes, they are sales, but are they going to provide it? So things like HP for Education is a fantastic scheme because you can access all sorts of things through the classroom and that scheme. So please look at it because it's not just all about sales. There's massive support there now. So what does it look like at Ribblesdale? Well, we've got a device for all, fully parental supported, 90% plus uptake, used in the majority of lessons. Is it all paperless? No. Are you going to see exercise books? Yes, because they need those skills. We still write. They still need to be able to do that as well. It's that blended approach to learning. We say to staff, use it when it is best. Take the pragmatic approach. Make sure it's having that impact. Collaboration. Wherever, whenever. Doesn't matter. That's OneNote up there via Teams as well. You'll probably notice the keen people amongst you that's a technology room. Doesn't matter where they are, they use them. That supports their learning on a daily basis. But what they are getting is those digital skills for the future in every subject area they visit. Whether it's technology, English, maths, science, any of the other subjects. It doesn't matter where they are, we're not teaching it discreetly in ICT. It's about unlocking the potential. We all have barriers to reaching our potential, and lots of students do. So let's use the technologies to unlock it. Use Minecraft EE to get kids more interested in creative writing. Places of worship in RE, like we do. Use it alongside learning tools, so those kids with additional needs can actually excel using the technology to make sure that they've got the skills for the future. Allow them to support each other. Teachers love control, going back to one of my initial slides. They love being in control at the front of the classroom. Actually, it's probably a time to start to take a step back. We're there to facilitate the learning, not to lead the learning. And technology and the tools and those skills are going to help them do it. And finally, to quote a man that, as a scientist, I have a lot of admiration for. If you're going to do something new, you will make mistakes. It will go wrong. It will go sideways. But what you must do is have that vision and that drive to move it forward and keep moving it forward. If you do that, you are going to give your young people the skills they're going to need for their futures. Thank you very much for listening.